Welcome to the Property Lane, where it's everything real estate. My name is Catherine Nanteza, and I'm your host tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a very interesting topic. We will be looking at technology, innovations, inventions, apps, and systems in the real estate sector. What you need to know, when you can apply them, what they can do for you to improve your real estate investment, but also how can you make money using these new technology or apps or systems or innovations. Our first guest, we are back with Mr. Moses Lutalo, the MD of Brawl Uganda, and he's also Emrex. He is also someone that has been in the real estate sector for a very long time, and especially one of the very few real estate experts that understands PropTech. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Moses Lutalo, please say hi.
Thank you, Catherine. Lutalo Moses is my name. Always a pleasure to be here to share with the viewers out there anything within the real estate space. I'm the Managing Director of Brawl Uganda Limited. Brawl is a real estate services group with presence in 14 African countries, and we're proudly Pan-African business. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. Our other guest is still not new to those who have been following the Property Lane. He's none other than Mr. Tochi Adesanyi, the proprietor and founder of Live Easy, an app that you should all know about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, Mr. Tochi Adesanyi.
Thank you very much. It's an interesting thing to be here, and we're happy about this show. We thank you, the presenter, for the opportunity to be here. Sorry, our host, for the opportunity to be here. And Live Easy is more about technology of lifestyle, starting from the real estate sector. We are in Nigeria, and we are also coming to Uganda fully to help real estate thrive and use technology to help improve transparency and then boost profits for real estate investors and players in the markets. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. You're almost prompting me to start with you. But before we get into technology, I would love for Moses has a way of breaking down things. Moses, what are the latest innovations and inventions or technology aspects in property that we should be knowing about?
Yes. I think, Catherine, broadly speaking, all that technology solutioning for real estate has now commonly been termed as PropTech. Is essentially looking at the entire ecosystem of the real estate investment chain, from how you acquire property to how you design it, to how you size up the opportunity, build it, finances, manage it, to up to the point of exit. So you find that technology has come to play a critical role in all those aspects. For example, if you're talking about design, you've had, new systems people are using, whether it's georeference systems, whether it is, if it's construction, you've heard of 3D printing of homes. If it is, viewing and selling houses, you've heard of virtual tours. People are now virtually looking at houses before they buy them. If it's a question of, managing a building, you've heard of Internet of Things and building management systems. If it is a question of asset management, you're hearing, things like, LEED certified buildings, EDGE certified buildings. So there's a whole array of, systems or technologies that are being built to basically facilitate how best to deliver real estate services across the value chain, and speaks to each and every one of them. We used to think of, Internet of Things. You walk into a shopping center and they're able to map how you're moving, what you're shopping, which shops do you, and then they use that information to determine tenant mix and many other things. So I think for me, PropTech is just a buzzword, but there are many components in there. Now, in some cases, people are using them independent of each other. But I think what the ideal situation would be that all these systems speak to each other, and then you have an ecosystem which delivers, a sort of an experience to the people interfacing with it that is going to improve our lives, make us make better money probably, and also improve our living conditions generally. And that's what PropTech is.
Or make us live easy. Yes, Mr. Tochi. What are the new technological aspects of property, especially in Nigeria? What should we be looking out for? How is it? And then people embracing it, because in Uganda it's been a bit slow. You'll tell us more, but how is it in Nigeria?
Technology is growing very fast, but property technology is still trying to find its way because the market is more traditional, right? And players are more trusting of what they can manually do themselves than, having technology come in to, disrupt what they are used to. So Nigeria is a very traditional market when it comes to real estate, but in terms of the other industry in the market, technology is growing very rapidly in Nigeria, very fast, and that even the Western worlds are still coming to copy some of the innovations happening in our technology space at the moment. So yes, the technology space is now advancing to technology itself becoming a decision maker, and that's where you are looking at the AI world. Like he also mentioned, Internet of Things. Constructions now in Lagos comes with a whole infrastructure of Internet of Things, where there's a central data center for a residential property, and then every single aspect of that property is connected to internet. So no matter where you are in the world, you can actually manage your apartment from just your phone. Wow. Yeah, and so it's becoming a trend now with most developers when they are developing, and they call it smart homes, to introduce IoT into their development, which is attracting more value for properties today. So yes, technology is growing very fast, and we are just starting.
Oh, you talked of a smart home. How is that working for your fellow Nigerians in the diaspora? I mean, how are they able to monitor and get tenants in, or know that there is a plumbing issue, an electrical issue? How is that done with technology?
So for now, Internet of Things is still more of a luxury value in the real estate industry. So it's not everybody that has access to it, But if you have your money, you can have access to it. And we've seen where developers impute it, not only just even knowing, when a fault happens, but even being able to predict when a fault can happen by, measuring, the wear and tear of materials. So when they are constructing, they already include IoT in most of the material that are being used to build that particular property. So it helps them to monitor the whole infrastructure that drives our property. But that's still luxury, right? but we are seeing, and that's what is very interesting about property in technology. Once it's been introduced and there's a prototype that works, then you begin to see people replicate it, and that's what basically bringing it down, to the middle, and then probably it gets to the lower class very soon.
Wow, what's the experience in Uganda? Any PropTech properties you've handled, or what's the experience of smart homes?
Well, I think we don't have many smart homes in Uganda. There are a few pockets of people who have tried to incorporate solutions.
For example, still luxury?
It is because then it's not yet scalable, because what brings down the cost to maybe affordable and even lower brackets is the ability to have very many people adopt, and then the cost of production goes down because of the quantities, economies of scale. So we've not seen it so much in commercial properties. We just have bits of it. You find maybe a building has a building management system, which is coordinating your HVAC, your security systems, your access control, all that. That's part of smart building. It's part of smart, PropTech. In residential, you find maybe someone can switch off the lights, they can access control, you can,
they can
do
draw
even
curtains.
Draw curtains. Yeah, but we want to get to a level where that's the norm. And that's where the industry is headed. So like people say, maybe technology might not replace people, but men with technology will certainly do so. And we need to keep our ears on the ground and see what's going on in that space and be able to, you know, advance as quickly as it is evolving, because we're now in Industry 4.0. Once you start talking 5G...
Now you've brought in the numbers. I'm going to pause you right there. Please don't forget where you have stopped. Dear viewers, we are going to take a very quick short break, and we will be back talking PropTech in Uganda and Nigeria and what you need to know. See you shortly. Yes, welcome back, dear viewers, from that very brief break. We were having a very interesting discussion before we broke off, and Moses was introducing all these numbers, 4.0, what's that?
Yes, I think, Catherine,
yes.
Essentially what the viewers need to know is we're in the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay.
Which
is that the 4.0?
Yeah, Industry 4.0. So what it means is that Internet of Things, 5G, 6G, we're going to see, you know, whether it's AI, you know, generative AI, everything you're seeing, which is big data analytics, making decisions based out of data, which is, you know, in data centers, everything is about that. So you can't talk about smart homes, smart buildings without talking about the fourth industrial revolution and the enabling infrastructure, which is your high-speed internet. And so, because you don't want to be locked out of your house because there's no internet. Because there's no connectivity.
Happened. We've seen that.
So you see even, you know, Starlink coming up and all these other solutions, so that we're able to deliver very fast internet in everywhere, so that even someone in Mukono can afford a smart home. Otherwise, if you don't have internet coverage, then a smart building, a smart home becomes, you know, just, you know, a good, but you can't optimize it.
Can Ugandans also do property management, like Mr. Tochi was saying online? Like the Ugandans in the diaspora, can they be able to manage and watch their property? Or like you said, it's still a very small percentage?
No, I think if you want to remotely manage your building and it is a smart building, all the chips that have been inbuilt in your access controls, if it's a hotel or an apartment block like Edge and you're doing it as an Airbnb, the lock is electronic. You'll know who has accessed, who has gotten out, where. You know, if the AC is down, it will send you a signal automatically. If your DSTV is coming up, you get a message. So you can remotely do this. Of course, the people interface becomes important from interface, you know. There's a human aspect to it.
Technology can lie.
Yes. The human aspect is very important, but virtually in a well set up ecosystem with all functions speaking to each other, you can manage properties remotely. And that's where we're headed.
Thank you so much, Moses. Mr. Tochi, do you think technology can actually fail you, where the AC is sending you a signal and nothing is really wrong? Are we seeing technology replacing human?
The technology replacing human is still a distant future, not immediate. Even if technology comes in, there will still be the human part of it. The difference is that the job skill requirement would have changed. So if you are not within that job skill requirement bracket, you are basically going to lose out of it. I mean, you are here, you know, we are speaking about Uganda now discovering oil. Job skill is going to change. And then industry also, skill requirement is also going to change. So some people, because you've discovered oil, are going to be losing. It's just the same thing with technology. Technology also has its weakness, right? And depending on who basically builds or manages it, right? It only can give what you put in. And that's technology. Technology on its own cannot run.
It's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on what you give it, then it gives you, it multiplies it, you know, and helps you make it bigger or louder, you know.
Let's talk about Live Easy. Well, what challenge is Live Easy coming to solve? I know we've heard of all the management softwares before. We've had I don't like to call them databases because it has its issues, but yeah, we've had what we can use for now for data. What will Live Easy help us solve? Because data is one big issue for Uganda, especially for real estate.
Okay, Live Easy.
And briefly, because I know when you start talking Live Easy, it gets exciting.
Solves just two basic loopholes in the market, and we put it as transparency and accountability, which is trust. You know, and we believe that that is the biggest loophole, that if we can plug in the market, it opens up new and many opportunities that have been restricted from coming into the market. So Live Easy wants to solve transparency and introduce trust into the market. And how, Moses, you've had an interaction with Live Easy. How do you think Live Easy is going to play with the apps that already exist? And I know almost every property manager is coming up with their own system and their own app. How do they interact with Live Easy?
Yeah, I think my brief interaction with the system, the thing that I want to put out there is Live is basically a platform that is being created to aggregate all sorts of information around occupancy, rent collections. It's a database of many things, which if structured well and have the right information in there, has very many benefits along the value chain. From identification, users. There's so much. I mean, I've been working in this space for the last perhaps 18, 19 years, managing properties, dealing in properties. What he's talking about is something revolutionary we need to watch out for, because it sees as being just a property facilities management tool to almost something that can create an ecosystem which sort of is locked. There will be so many benefits. I mean, he's talking about even the users get sort of commissions back. So it's going to be, if the market can allow it to operate in this environment, all of us property managers would feed into that system. I think many people are struggling with their small systems who want to plug into the system, and it's open to everyone. So for as long as you have access and you can feed in the right information, then once it starts aggregating it and be able to say, okay, this is the cluster you're looking at, this is the information available, it can actually be commercialized and make it something really, really, life-changing in our industry, if I can put it that way.
Wow, you talked of the users being able to actually earn from it. Are we talking about the landlords and tenants and everyone on the system earning some money, Tochi? Or is it just the commission that we are used to?
The goal is that the system must keep having members in the community that can afford whatever the community can create. So everybody has a chance to earn in the system. What we are doing is something that is not done in Africa. And so it's somehow hard to explain. But the simpler way we explain it is that we know that Africa is a highly consuming continent, right? So what we are doing is we are taking the consuming nature of Africa and converting it into income for more Africans.
Break it down, Moses.
Well, I wish I could do a better job than he's done. But for me, as someone who is interfacing with multiple systems at any one moment, we've always desired to see a system that integrates all that data and creates value along the way. And I think that's what the system is trying to address in a nutshell. Yes.
Wow, I've heard of rent financing, and basically from the Nigerian experience. Tochi was telling me in Nigeria they pay rent annually. I think apart from the Moseses, the high-end and luxury, the rest of us Ugandans, it's monthly or at most bi-monthly. And then because of the stress on the rent, they've introduced something called rent financing. I don't know if you've heard of it. Could you explain a little more on that?
So it's just a way in order to create simplicity for the rent payer. So that the rent payer doesn't struggle to meet his rent. So it's more of a partnership with the financial sector, where the financial sector trusts the system and then forwards your rent to your landlord, and then you can be able to pay in as little bits as possible, right, for a little extra interest on it. And the goal going forward is that the system should grow to be trustable, that even the landlord can also be able to forward his rent to you
Okay.
without the financial institution being a part of it, and the system protects the landlord from any defaults that could happen. So that's where we are hoping to take the system to.
Do you think rent financing would work in Uganda? In 1 minute, as we come to the end of the show. There's a way the show runs when I'm with Moses.
I think there's a lot more work we need to do on that to make it practical in our context, especially on the governance, the legal framework. Yeah, there's something we need to look into. But yes, I mean, we need to dream big. Why not? If it has worked in Nigeria, there's no reason why it can't work in Uganda.
Wow. As we come to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like each of you in less than a minute to just have some parting words, starting with you, Mr. Tochi.
The world is getting more digital in the way we live, talk, even relate, so it means Africa can be left behind. The faster we begin to also digitize our markets, the better we also begin to play at the global stage. So it's a great opportunity to be some of the pioneers helping Africa to digitize its marketplace, and we hope that we can get that to work in a shorter time.
Thank you. Moses?
I think for me, the context comes from the point that we as players in the industry, for so long we've been operating in silos. We think the barriers to entry, everyone is a threat. I think it's about time we come together and be able to create a bigger marketplace or platform where everyone can benefit, because the more the merrier. So I can be seated here as an individual and say, this is my information, my data, but for how long? Before blockchain technology comes into play, before all these other systems come. So we need to be ready, and this is the time, because if we continue operating in silos and thinking barriers to entry is the way to go, I mean, we are going to wake up for shock of our lifetime when the industry has moved on beyond us.
That is very, very key. As real estate players, we cannot continue playing in our silos. We need each other. Real estate is all about networking, and the time is now. Even without regulation, with all these systems in place, I believe we can create a very good playground for real estate businessmen to be able to carry out business and be profitable even before the laws come in place. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Catherine Nanteza, and I've been your host tonight. Thank you for staying with us, from the rest of my team and from our guests. See you next time.
The Property Line.